Hey guys, so today's video I have a new coin, and this one has come from the Royal Mint Collector Service, although not where I bought it from personally. And today I'm going to talk you through the process of when I buy a new gold coin, how do I make sure everything is as it should be, and what's my process, and go from there. So first of all, this coin is a 1922 George V sovereign, and the Royal Mint do like a verification service, I guess. So this is, what they put the coin into. So it's not a newly minted coin. Obviously, it's 1922. It's been minted for 100 years. And so I suppose when they get the coin in, they are basically putting it in this sealed packet and calling it good there. So I'm going to basically rip it out, I suppose. Just a little warning, the coin is guaranteed, but if the strip is torn, damaged or removed, they can no longer guarantee its authenticity. So there we go. No longer guaranteed. Oh wow, it's really stuck in there. Alright, let's get him out and get rid of that nonsense. Oh, good tip as well. When you're throwing away coin brochures or packaging that's got gold coins written over it, just put it in your next door neighbour's bin. So here we go, let's have a better look at this. So this is a 1922p sovereign, and it says on here, bear in mind this is not graded as such like when you get them in slabs. It says extremely fine. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I have a few different books that I look into, and let's first look into this one, which is not one I always use, but it's the Standard Guide to Grading British Coins. Now, there are all sorts of coins in here, different portraits. I just marked on the page just ahead of time, save us messing around. And this is for George V, first obverse, sovereign, half sovereign, blah, 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 blah. So there's a bit of information. Basically, during the war, they made some rubbish coins, lack of manpower, lack of resources, things like that. Anyway, so 1922 is after the First World War, and EF is what the Royal Mint have given it, which is here. So wear is quite general, but the upper ear is diagnostic. So ends of the moustache and the eyebrow can also suffer. Let's have a look. So the ear is diagnostic, so you can see there, yeah, there's quite a bit of wear on that actually. You can definitely see a bit of wear on the ear and the eyebrow as well. What I would normally do, I would just check the date just to see, if it's an interesting date, see if there's anything interesting about it. I would check the monarch to make sure the monarch is the right one, should they be on the coin. So for example, if this 1922 had Victoria on it, then that would obviously ring some alarm bells. Now, you can have a look in some of the other books. This is quite a small book, which is British coins. And this is a CB's, is basically a catalogue from their auctions and recent prices. So we go to George V, and then we go through to sovereigns. This is no mint mark, so London Mint. We come over here, and we said we had a P for Perth, didn't we? So we'd have a look on here. We have a 1922p, and in EF grade, we'd get one for £12, and that is in 1968. So if anybody has a few of these at home, not a few of these, but a few of the coins, and they want to sell me them for doubling the money if they bought them in the 1960s, then, let me know in the comments. I will be shopping quite a lot. You can also have a look in the Gold Sovereign book and, various others. I'll just grab that without smashing the camera everywhere. And again, I did just mark the page ahead of time. So what we can do, we can go into the Marsh book, and we've got Perth Mint. So 1922, we can have a look in here, and there's not really any varieties and things. And we can see it's got a C for common. So nothing particularly special, but a nice coin nonetheless. In general, the mintages of the early 1920s are pretty low. That's the Gold Sovereign series by Michael Marsh and Steve Hill. And yeah, if you are interested, there's lots of information in those. So in terms of getting the coin, like I say, I check the date, just have a little look at the coin, just make sure there's nothing suspicious about it, you know, no major damage or anything like that. So next up, I will usually run my coins over the Sigma verifier, just to have a little look on there. So we basically will pop that on, and when you're measuring alloys on here and smaller coins, you do have to just make sure you get the right settings. So I'm using the small wand here, and the calibration disc because it's a thin coin. If you're just testing 1 ounce bullion coins, you can just chuck it on the top there. So I've got the setting for the sovereign. It isn't a special setting for the sovereign, it's just for the metal in general. But like the Krugerrand does have its own setting, and so does you know, the eagle, things like that. So the square is falling within the brackets, which is good. So that suggests that it is the metal it's supposed to be. Now, next up, I would take the weight of the coin. So I've got some here scales, which are just for, you know, small items of jewellery. So the maximum weight of this scale is 50 grams, and a sovereign is just under 8. So I'm just going to pop that onto there, little dish, tear it, and then I'll pop the coin in, and we should see, you know, just under the 8 ounces there. Let's just move that over. So we've got 7.998, which is cool. And yeah, this one has the measurements down for 3 decimal points, which is, you know, more accurate. You know, if you've just got your kitchen scales there with, you know, kilos on, you might not get a very accurate reading. You might not be able to tell the difference. Out of interest, I do have this antique sort of sovereign balance, and just for fun, I might just pop it through the gauge there. You know, make sure it fits. Obviously, if it goes into the half sovereign, it won't fit through there. But for the full sovereign, get it stuck. For the full sovereign, obviously, it will fit into there. So for the full sovereign, it's the right thickness. Also, it is the right diameter, and it will balance on there because obviously we check the weight. So I wouldn't take this too seriously. It's more just for a bit of fun for me, like a, you know, an ornament if you like. But it does seem to still work, so cool. And yeah, that is another little test you can do. We're not expecting this to do anything, but we've got a magnet in here, and obviously it's not magnetic. So if it's magnetic, you know, we would be worried. Obviously that'll stick to something like that tin over there. So yeah, that is the new coin, and that is my process. So when I'm buying the coin, you know, what you can do as well, sometimes if I'm in a bit more of a rush, I'll do the basic measurements, and then I'll just take some good photos or a video of the coin, and then obviously I store my coins off site, and so, you know, I don't get to look at them all the time. But if I've got good photos, I can always refer back to them and take a look in there, you know, at my leisure, if you like. So there's not really loads of varieties with the George sovereigns. If you're buying young Victoria sovereigns, then perhaps some of the books I mentioned, especially the Marsh book, would be more interesting. You know, you can take a look in there and see if you've got any varieties and things like that. So if you're just stacking the weight and buying coins, you know, you might not be that interested, but if you are keen on the sovereigns, then that is one to look for. So that is my process of buying a coin, and we'll talk to you soon.